Hello, today we will be solving word problems about percentages. We will cover topics such as interest and discounts. Discounts are same as sales. Discounts and maybe tax on sale. Tax from sale or tax on sale. So let's dive in. By first reading the problem, we will cover all these problems, number 13, number 14, 15, later 16, and we are starting our lesson on page 151. Jane's monthly salary was $1,500 in May. It was increased by 8% in June. What was her salary in June? So it looks like Jane got a pay raise. Fantastic. What is 8% of 1,500? So we can write it down. I'm going to first write it in English. 8% of $1,500. Remember, in the previous lesson, we learned about shortcuts on how to solve simple percentages in our head or mentally. So there are multiple ways to go about it. Let's use that particular method because I think it will be very easy for you to solve many of these problems using mental math. 1% of 1,500 is $15. Okay, let me make some other space right here. Is $15, right? To find 1%, we divide by 100. Therefore, 8% will be 15 times 8, which is $120. So that means Jane got $120 pay raise. Okay, that's what 8% is, $120 pay raise. Now, what do? Well, we say 1,500 plus 120 is $1,620. $1,620 was her salary in June. Next problem. There are 400 members. There are 400 members in a club last year. There are 400 members in a club last year. The membership was decreased. The membership was decreased by 5% this year. How many members are there this year? Well, again, let's try to solve what is the drop in memberships. What is 5% of 400? So 5% of 400 members. Step one, let's find 1%. 1% is four members. Therefore, 5%, I'm going to write it down, 5% is 4 times 5 equals 20 members. So the decrease this year is minus 20 people, and therefore the total membership this year went down to 380 members. Notice how we're using the benchmark percentage of 1% to solve for the smaller quantities. First, we find 1%. How do we find 1%? We divide by 100. That method was covered in our previous lesson. Again, next problems. A swimming club had 720 members last year. This year, the membership increased. The membership increased by 15%. Find the number of members this year. Again, I think it's easy before finding 5% of 720, remember percent of quantity, 720 members, I'm going to write short. Let's first find 1%. 1% of 720, don't worry that we get decimals, that's perfectly okay, is 7.2 members. Therefore, to find 5%, we would do 7.2 times 5 equals 35, and a little bit more is 36 members. 36 members. Therefore, this was our step one, right? We had step one. And step two, find the members this year. Well, we just add 720 last year plus 36% increase gives us 756 members this year. I like putting my answers into a circle or a box. Next problem. Mary bought a swimsuit which cost $50. In addition, she had to pay 3% sales tax. 3% sales tax. How much did she pay for the swimsuit? Again, we need to figure out what was that additional tax. It's like a fee the government, state government, city government charges you on top of the purchases. So how do we figure out 3% of $50? Well, I think it helps to step one. Let's find 1% of $50. And 1% is 50 divided by 100. And it is 0.5 or 50 cents. Therefore, 3% would be 0.5 times 3, tripled. Remember, from 1%, we can triple our quantity to 3%. From 1% benchmark, we multiplied our quantity 5 times to find 5%. So 0.5 times 3 is $1.50. So the entire tax that she paid on top of a swimsuit, so step 2, it is 50 plus $1.50. The swimsuit cost her $61.50. And we put that number in a box. Now, the next problem is number 17. We are at the bottom of page 151. The problem states the usual price of a camera was $190. At a sale, it was discounted. It was discounted 30%. What was the sale price? I hope you know from real life examples that, or if you don't, I can explain. Discount or sale means you have some price, but because of a holiday, Memorial Day, Thanksgiving Day, President's Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, whatever, you can get additional discounts and you will pay less at the store for regularly priced items. So step one, how do we find, wrong tool. How do we find, we need to find 30% of $190. Well, I like to find 10% first because 10% is that nice, easy benchmark. So step one, let's find 10%. It is 190 divide by 10 because to find 10% is 1/10. So it is $19. $19 is 10%. Therefore, to find 30%, we would need to say $19, which is your 10%, triple that amount, which gives us 20, I believe, 20 times 3 is 60, 19 times 3 is $57. Notice that to go from 10 to 30, we triple. From go to 19 to 30%, we triple our quantity. But we're not done because it is a discounted price. So step 3, $190 was the original price minus 57. That is money off, dollars off, and the total price that this person will pay for the camera will be $133. $133. I hope these examples using benchmarks, let me again highlight our benchmarks. 1% is a very easy benchmark to figure out mentally. 1%, and in the last example, we used 10%. These are our benchmark percentages. I call them benchmarks because they're easy to calculate in your head, and then you can find 5%, 3%, or any multiple of 10.